Aloha, my friends, and mahalo for being here. Mahalo in Hawaiian is thank you. Yes, in English I'd say mahalo, Hawaiian, English thank you. This is a special show for me. My father, all the time I ever knew my dad, well, actually not too long before he even passed away. He died about 72 years old. But my dad had always been a musician. He's self-taught like I am. And I'm dedicating this show to two people. First of all, to my father, who I miss terribly. I always have. I lost him in '82, and he's just with me all the time. And so this is a picture that I found. This picture is my father in the middle, playing the steel guitar. He played steel guitar and ukulele. And then on this side here is Joe, and he was actually Filipino. And Fred over on this side was Filipino. My father sang beautifully, and he sang in Hawaiian, even though my father's Middle Eastern, no Hawaiian in him, but he sang beautiful Hawaiian. And the girl in the middle next to my father was their hula dancer. She was an amazing hula dancer, and she didn't make my mother jealous at all. My father had, before he had a Hawaiian trio, he had a Spanish band, the Caballeros. This is in Cleveland, Ohio. And I have somewhere, I hope I can find this picture of his band, because he had a big band, and they all wore those black hats with the little balls hanging down. You know? But when I used to play with my father, I played accordion. The accordion and the steel guitar really sounded good together. And Dad and I would play down in his rec room, and we'd sit there and play and just have some wonderful, wonderful times, him and I. And well, I knew my father was proud of me as I kept going into show business and everything. And one of the memories I have is when my dad watched me at a show, and I can't remember, and he cried. And that made me so happy, because I know he cried because he was proud of me. Anyway, I love my dad, and this show I'm dedicating to him. His name was Philip Zahand. That was my maiden name, Zahand. It was changed at Ellis Island. It was Zahoud, because my father is Lebanese and Syrian, and it was Zahoud, and they changed it at Ellis Island to Zahand. They thought that made it more American, I guess. The other, another person I'm dedicating this to is to Alan Kent, who lives here in our village. He lives in one of our apartments. Alan was 100 years old last week, and I remember my first Hawaiian show that I did here. I did it because he asked me if I would do the song Moon of Manakura, and so he loves Hawaiian music. I hope a lot of you do love Hawaiian music, because this show's all Hawaiian. All right, so here is Alan Kent. This song is for you. I know you love it. This song was done by Dorothy Lamour, was sang in a movie called The Hurricane, and that was in 1937. Actually, it's not a Hawaiian song. Most of the Hawaiian songs that you've heard are really, the majority of them are actually written by American composers. There are some, like Aloha Oi. This one absolutely is a Hawaiian song, absolutely. But this particular song, Moon of Manakura, is actually written by an American composer, Frank Lesser, who wrote the musical Guys and Dolls. Yeah. Well, here it is. This is Moon of Manakura. Here you go, Alan. this part where I went, that actually is the steel guitar part. Out of most of the Hawaiian songs, you'll hear the steel guitar at the end do that. Now, Hawaiian music is it's beautiful music. And it's normally the songs are just very simple songs. There's not a lot of jazz to them, at least back in the day. They do jazz them up now. They even take Hawaiian music and make it into rap. You won't hear that here. All right, you'll know this song. Now, when you think of that song, I'm going to ask my audience here. When you think of that song, who do you think of? Elvis Presley, absolutely right. Right. That was in his movie, Blue Hawaii, or Hawaii, Blue Hawaii, yeah. 1961, but the song actually came from 1936. Yeah. And not written by a Hawaiian, written by American composers. Okay, how about this one? Right. 1948, that song is called Beyond the Reef. It was written by a Canadian who lived in Hawaii. And it was first recorded by Hawaiian artists, but actually a Canadian composer. And anyway, it's called Beyond the Reef. In the song, it never mentions Hawaii at all. No. But it's very popular hearing it. You hear it in Hawaii. In Hawaii. I got to remember to say Hawaii. Okay. Now you know this one, okay? of those songs were done by the Platters, right? This song, Harbor Lights, actually was written by the music was written by an Australian composer, and the words were written by an Irishman. I think it's kind of funny to find out about these songs, but anyway. But the melody is in Hawaiian style, and it's just beautiful, really beautiful. The song actually came out before Hawaii even became a state. Now the next one, Red Sails in the Sunset, 1935, a big hit for Bing Crosby. Oh my gosh, Bing Crosby. Remember I told you that before? It seems like he's done everything, he's sung everything, I think, in his lifetime. But it's not Hawaiian, but it has that feel. And I would say that almost all vocal artists recorded that song, Red Sails in the Sunset. I mean, just so many. All right, now this one here. Here we go. Song comes from 1939, and that song, of course, was written about the lovely hula hands. And, of course, you know that the hula, everything they do in the hula with their hands, means something. Yeah. Okay, well, how about this one? written by American composers. That song was a big hit for Andy Williams. Big hit. But Elvis sang it in Blue Hawaii, right? Hawaiian wedding song. I don't think there's anybody here that doesn't know that song, right out there. By the way, my audience out there in camera land, while I was putting this song together, I was thinking many of you know Rosie Iha. Yeah, many of you know her. And little Rosie, she always wore muumuus wherever she went. And for you folks that know Rosie, and I know many of you do, just want to say I was thinking about her this whole time. We lost her way too early. But Rosie was Okinawan and Hawaiian. And she was raised, her father and the family were put in camps because of the war, you know, what happened in Pearl Harbor and so forth. But anyway, they were put in camps, and because of being part Okinawan, right? And brought to San Francisco, and they were in a camp there. And so Rosie remembered a lot of that. But I was thinking of her, and for you folks out there that know Rosie. Sandy Baxter, you know, Rosie, and so many of you out there, folks that were crew members on the boats and so forth. Okay. This next song I found in my father's music, and I researched it and I can't find it anywhere. I mean, I found the song, but I can't find out anything about it. So, and I don't believe my father wrote it, although he did write songs, but it's a beautiful song, and I have know nothing about this song. Don't know when it was written or anything, I just found it in my father's music. And it's called Honolulu Breeze, and it's very pretty, and it goes like this. Pretty song, isn't it? Honolulu Breeze. Yeah. I see Frank in the audience. Frank, were you stationed in Hawaii ever? You passed through there. Did you pass through on the ground, or did you have to pass through on the air? Frank was in the Air Force, many of you. I know that Ed and Deborah have been to Hawaii many times. I know that Eddie's been there many times. How many of us have been to Hawaii? Yes. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. am I doing, Dad? That song is from 1942, also written by Americans. It's called Song of the Islands. Once again, Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby recorded that. Louis Armstrong also recorded Song of the Islands. And I'm trying to think who else did. Anyway, we had several. That song's been sung by many artists, the beautiful Song of the Islands. Now this one, 1937, it was in a movie called Waikiki Wedding. So if you go back to 1937, black and whites, you'll see this song. You'll hear the song in the movie, Waikiki Wedding. And this song won an Oscar for the best original song in 1937. And it was, of course, big hit for Bing Crosby. He had the biggest hit of anybody, Sweet Lalani. Beautiful, Sweet Lalani. Okay. That song is called the Hukalau song. Hukalau, written by an American composer, Jack Owens. Now, if some of you remember, your mother told you about it, there was a radio show called Don McNeil's Breakfast Club. Yeah, remember that? You were just a little one when that happened. But it was a very long-running radio show. Jack Owens was the star of that show. He wrote this song, the Hukalau song. He was called the cruise crooner, and had nothing to do with cruising. It's just because he would go through the audience, the radio audience, and he'd go and sit on the gals' laps and sing to them. All right? So, that's why they call him the cruise crooner. But he wrote that song, and anyway, it was that was okay. So let me tell you about the Hukalau. The Huka means pull. Lau in Hawaiian means leaves. What they would do is they'd get these big fishing parties, family, friends, and you may have seen this in movies, and they'd have these huge nets. And they would take the nets and they put leaves on them. And the leaves were, because when they put the nets in there, the leaves would scare the fish and scare the fish into the nets. I'm trying to picture this, but this is the truth. And then also, so they call it the Hukalau song. But they're also, the Hukalau was a festive time for the Hawaiians. And they would dance. And they also called the Hukalau a dance. So that's the Hukalau song. And you could just picture all these Hawaiians, men and women, out there by the shoreline, throwing these huge nets out there. And it took a lot of people to hold these nests. And then, of course, they shared all the fish that was brought in, right? Okay, let's go on. How you doing out there? Aloha! I used to sing sometimes with my father. I'm gonna probably do just a little bit. All right, I'm gonna do a little bit. Ta'awa ila, e o heri lea pili kawa kula. Putula ite atula, hane waka le. Ta'awa ila, e o heri lea pili kawa kula. Putula ite tula, hane waka le. Awe, tahu ala, awe, hane wahi le. The Hawaiian War Chant. Actually, the Hawaiian War, it's called the Hawaiian War Chant, but the song is actually about a clandestine affair between a man and woman. It had nothing to do with battle. Go figure. When I think of my dad, I think of my dad singing this song. I wasn't going to sing, but I'm going to sing a little bit of this. To you, sweetheart, aloha. Aloha from the bottom of my heart. Keep that smile on your lips. Brush the tears from your eyes. One more aloha, then it's time for goodbye. To you, sweetheart, aloha. In dreams, I'll be with you tonight, and then I'll pray for the day when we two will meet again. Until then, sweetheart, aloha. When I was a young girl, I would sit with my father and mother in front of our radio back in the 40s, and we listened to Hawaii Calls, Hawaii Calls. We listened to that, and it was a Webley Edwards radio show. And Harry Owens and his Royal Hawaiians was the band. Neither Harry Owens or Webley Edwards were Hawaiian, but they had musicians, were the most wonderful Hawaiian musicians on the island were in that orchestra. Webley Edwards was the first broadcaster to announce that Pearl Harbor had been attacked. And because I want to say it word by word, this is what he said. It was in late 1941. We all know December 7th. Edwards was the first radio announcer to broadcast the attack on Pearl Harbor by the Japanese. He was who said on the air, "Attention, this is no exercise. The Japanese are attacking Pearl Harbor. All Army, Navy, and Marine personnel report for duty." After the attack, Webster worked as Pacific Bureau manager for CBS Radio. One of his most notable experiences was an interview he got with Colonel Tibbets, who was the pilot of the Enola Gay that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. Edwards was one of only 2 broadcast journalists that were aboard the USS Missouri during the surrender at Tokyo Bay, September 2nd, 1945. He was the chief announcer for the ceremony. Edwards has the distinction of being the only broadcaster to witness the very beginning and the end of the United States involvement in World War II. I thought you might enjoy hearing that. Hawaii Calls was a radio program live from Waikiki Beach. And let me tell you that after my father passed away, my father always wanted to go to Hawaii. But he wouldn't fly and Mother wouldn't take the boat. But he always, of course, Hawaii was in his heart. I mean, my father sang beautiful Hawaiian. So I found out after Dad had passed away that a friend of mine and his wife were going to Hawaii and going to be on Waikiki Beach there. So I took Dad's bars that he used on the steel guitar and his picks, and I wrapped them up in a little black velvet box. Put them in a box, wrapped them in plastic, and Joe and Carol took my father's picks and bars and buried them behind the Waikiki bandstand. Maybe they're not there. I don't know what they've done with what they're doing there, but anyway, they buried them down there, and so maybe somebody will come across it sometime and say, wonder where this came from, right? Well, I'm so glad I shared this memorable show with you, my friends. Thank you. By the way, out there at Camberland, my audience is growing. Yeah, it's growing. But thank you for being here. This is a very important show to me, and brought back a lot of memories. I hope it brought back memories for you. So many of you have been to Hawaii. How many have been to Hawaii in the audience? There you go. All right. And for those that weren't here, I told you a little bit about it, right? I told you a little about. Now, so I'm ending with this song. Let's remember Pearl Harbor as we go to meet the foe. Let's remember Pearl Harbor as we did the Alamo. We will always remember how they died for liberty. Let's remember Pearl Harbor. Just remember, we went on to victory. Aloha.